to talk about the next ruler after Darius, because Darius starts these wars with the Greeks, and that's the main thing that his son, Xerxes, is going to be known for. Now, as I told you, Darius was obsessed with getting revenge on the Greeks. And we're really going to talk more about that when we get to the Greco-Persian Wars. So I wouldn't get too stressed about that now. And so, anyways, though, his dad, Darius, starts the war with the Greeks because of the whole Ionian revolt. And his dad does not beat the Greeks. So Xerxes is like, well, I am going to beat the Greeks where my father did not. So he sets to make one of the largest invasions that the world had ever seen. Now, Herodotus would write that there were millions of soldiers, probably more in hyperbole because it was just a lot, maybe up to hundreds of thousands. And Herodotus is our main source on Xerxes, and he's depicted as super angry, super mad, and not entirely stable. My favorite story about Xerxes is, so he goes and wants to build a giant bridge across what was called the Hellespont. Now, the Hellespont is the place, it's a little tiny body of water between Asia and Europe, so that he can go cross his army over to defeat the Greeks. And he builds this bridge. It's pretty incredible, by connecting boats together and then putting like a weaved road on top. And so he goes to do this, and the water's rocky and crazy, and it destroys the bridge the first time. And he is furious. So what he does is he goes and sends his men, and we should see him up there watching, to go whip the water for disobeying Xerxes. So he has the water whipped, builds another bridge, and guess what? Maybe it worked, because this time the bridge does not work, and he's able to land a huge army into Greece. We're going to talk an awful lot about that event later on in the unit, because that is going to be what leads up to the Battle of Thermopylae, which is a pretty big deal in the Greco-Persian Wars. The Persians will be defeated under Xerxes, and that will be the end of the Greco-Persian Wars. So he is he's not written very nicely by Herodotus. If you go look at what Persian historians say, they have a lot of nice things to say. He, like Darius and Cyrus, were pretty good rulers to the Persians, if you look at their side of things. But I love this story about him whipping the water. Herodotus might have made that up because he wanted him to look bad, or maybe he really did symbolically do it. You don't have to write anything here, but I always love getting to see what things are like today. So this is really, really cool. So Darius and Xerxes and other kings have their tombs right here. Isn't that a beautiful picture? And here are some of the objects they found in their tombs, which is pretty cool. This was actually like to drink. This was a cup. Like, look how big it is. Like, yowzers. Must be really thirsty. Cambyses tomb is right there, and it's falling down. Unfortunately, some of these things are been destroyed by people in recent years, or defaced, meaning graffitied and stuff, but it's kind of sad. So I know we hardly knew ye Persians, but we are getting to the end, so we can talk about the Greeks. And we're going to talk about the end of the Persian Empire again when we have Alexander the Great. So this is going to be a real quick overview of their perspective from Alexander. So over time, the rulers of Persia became less and less effective. And part of it was their rulers were less effective because they were less good. And they were less good. It's no problem, Michael. I understand, sir. They were less good because they were dishonest rulers. They got into power not from merit, not from going and being trained into the position, but because they took out the person who was in power. That's one of the things that we're going to see in many empires. When Eker becomes emperor because he knocked off Maddox, who became emperor because he knocked off Riley, it's not a recipe for success. They started losing a lot of wars, so territory was lost. And the final ruler would be a man named Darius III. Now, Darius III, he will recapture Egypt, but that is going to fall to a Mr. Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great, he had a dream of defeating the Persian Empire because his father had a dream of defeating the Persian Empire. And he saw it as his personal quest. And so he's going and he's defeating the Persians battle after battle after battle. And Darius even writes him a letter and says, look, dude, you win. You can have the whole entire empire. You can have whatever you want. It is yours. And Alexander the Great writes him back and says, I am not going to stop pursuing you until I defeat you, and end you. And so he made it his quest to end Darius III, perhaps symbolically because Darius I was the one who started the Greco-Persian Wars. I don't know, but and he does. He doesn't take the offer for all of the land. He goes and still fights on. But we're going to get to that story more when we get to Alexander the Great. That is our notes for the day.